In this video, I'm gonna go over how to shoot and edit and recreate those viral bird's eye sports edits that you've been seeing everywhere. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. What is up? Welcome back. Pete here. What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Gottschalk, content producer for Major League Baseball if you are new here. And you might be wondering, where are you? Why are you outside? I'm not in my room. I'm not in my living room. I'm not in my house at all. I'm actually in North Carolina at my mom's for Thanksgiving, and I'm shooting this on an iPhone. So I'm sorry for the quality of this. I didn't bring my camera along, but I wanted to give myself something to do, and I believe this tutorial is of time importance because this, this whole trend is really picking up steam. I've been seeing these bird's eye edits on, Bleacher Report. They picked it up. There's been some articles in the Wall Street Journal about them. They've been going crazy, and they were originally started by Austin Hittel at the Falcons and Atlanta United, or whatever the ownership group is there. I think this trend is really cool. It combines a few elements, most notably, obviously the angle is very unique, and it's a new angle that we haven't really seen sports shot from. And then it is also combines three innovative techniques in social content in post. One, the first being motion tracking, which we've seen before in the Beats by Dre commercials and other things. Two, speed ramping, which isn't done all the time. You don't really see it on broadcast, you see it on edits. And then three, there's an audio design element to it that is probably sets it apart from everything else. So these three techniques aren't anything super new, but combining all of them with a new angle that people haven't seen before from the top of the stadium or from a really high angle is very unique. And that is why the fans love it, and that is why people love it, and it's been trending so hot on the internet. So I'm gonna tell y'all how I went about recreating this in the MLB postseason. I'm gonna explain how I shot it, and then also how I edited it. Since I am at my mom's and I don't have a camera and I'm using my iPhone, I am just going to not show my face. I'm just going to hop into the editing software and do a voiceover. So apologies on that. But I just wanted to get this video out for y'all, get some value back to the community and the audience. Okay, everyone, we are in our project on Adobe Premiere Pro. I know you can do all of this in After Effects, but I like to do it in Premiere Pro first so I have more control. And that's just how my workflow has always been. So we have our two assets in here that we are going to use to recreate this. This is just a slow motion Verlander strikeout from the top deck at Globe Life Field from the American League Championship Series. Now I know this isn't a bird's eye, but it's close. We don't have catwalks that I have access to. If I was able to do that, it would be from up there, but I can't. But this is as close as I can get. To start this project off, we are going to start a sequence. I am going to select from my few presets here, and I'm gonna just do a wide one, a 16:9. And we'll just do 16:9 4K. For all of my sequences, if I'm doing for social or just a normal web video, I always start with a wide sequence here, and then I can convert, because you can't really, it's harder to go back from vertical to wide, just in case. So I'm going to take my clip here and find the in and outs by hitting I and O of what I want. Again, it's not the most perfect shot. It's not from the bird's eye exactly how the Falcons did it, but it's close enough. I'm going to take that in. That is obviously slow motion. You don't have to do this. There's two ways of going about this. You can keep it that slow motion speed, or you can just speed it up, and I'm going to just make it real speed by multiplying it 500%. And then I'm going to take the walking bit, and you don't have to do this. I did it here. Move that to the side. To start this whole process off, what you want to do is select the clip you want to speed ramp. That is our first thing we're going to do. Go down to Show Clip Keyframes, go to Time Remapping, and make sure that speed is clicked. And then if you cannot see your actual keyframes on the clip, make sure you drag this up here, this cursor, because if it's too small down here, you won't be able to see your keyframes. So now that we turned our speed ramping on, we want to find a spot where we want to slow down the clip. I'm going to do it as he's kind of motioning the ball up here, because if I try and motion track a real speed clip like this, it's gonna be really shaky. So I'm gonna try and slow it down about right here. Find this point, go up here, and if you can't see this, make sure you click this down, make a keyframe, and then since this is at 100% and it's at 500% of the original clip, I'm going to bring this back down to 20 to make that back to the original speed of the clip. And you don't have to do that. It's kind of adding a step, but it's just easier for me. It's how I've always done it. And there we go. We have our slow motion. And then when Maldonado's glove goes away, I'm going to get this back up to real speed. You want to keep this as tight and as quick as possible here in these moments, because if you're on social, people have a short attention span. Make sure you're keeping it tight. There we go. Okay, and now this clip is not necessary, but I just did it. Take this clip, speed it up to 500, maybe make it a little longer to give you some more space. Do the same thing, speed ramp. Right when he tips his cap, I want it to be slow motion. Zoom in, go back down to 20%, and that is taking it again back down to the original speed of the clip. So the slow motion, that looks good to me. We don't want to make this too long. Like I said, people have short attention spans. If you're publishing this on social, dragging this out too long will affect the engagement. Once you get this to speed ramp to your liking, since you cannot put any other keyframes on a speed ramped clip, you're going to need to nest these, and that will basically match it to the sequence settings. It's easier to understand when you actually do it, but that will nest it, and you can just label this Verlander Part 1, hit enter, and then you could just do, Verlander Part 2. Okay, and that will allow you to kind of keyframe in and out of however you want it to be. And that's another reason to make this original sequence 4K, because whenever you nest, it matches to the original sequence settings. Now that you have that done, what you need to do is open up After Effects and make sure you start a new project and save it wherever you want to. Bird's Eye Tutorial, Bird's Eye Tut AE, and there we go. So now we have our After Effects project started. We are going to go back to our Premiere Pro and go replace with After Effects Composition, and that is going to utilize Dynamic Link to link up these two projects. So if you change things in here, it will show up in here on Premiere Pro. It's an awesome feature that Adobe has, and it's one of the main reasons I like it so much. Now what we want to do is motion track. And this is going to basically lock our camera onto a part of the image that we want it to. And in this case, I want it to start on Verlander's head and then move to the ball as it gets slower, and then track that into Maldonado's glove at the end. And to do this, select your clip, go to Tracker, Stabilize Motion, and that is going to bring up this little track point. It is important to note your keyboard shortcuts here. H will bring up your hand and you can kind of move around. V is going to bring up your default tool, and those are the two that I'm going to use here. Make sure these boxes are kind of just give enough space. The bigger you make these, the longer it's going to take to motion track. On the image, you're going to want to find a place of high contrast. So I'm gonna try and pick under his hat brim or his hat with his skin tone, because that is going to contrast pretty well. Now, what you want to do is hit play. And there we go, we have a track starting right now. And I'm just gonna pause this for a sec. This is doing pretty good automatically using the AI, but it is going to mess up and you are going to have to manually do it. And let's see how far it gets. Okay, it's still going well here. And you can set this up so it stops whenever the confidence interval on the AI is low enough. I know that, but here we go. We got it tracked to his head. And now I'm going to move one frame, move it here, another frame, move it here. And this is just a gradual transition to the ball. This is something I didn't do in the original edit, actually. And now we are at the ball. See how that's gonna mess up? Now, whenever there's quick movement like this, you're gonna have to do it manually. So what I suggest is do Command plus and zoom in, and you can do this frame by frame. There we go. That's our first frame where we want the ball tracked. And you're going to want to do this so on until you have the ball tracked all the way into the catcher's glove. And there we have it, boys and girls, as we watch this track point. Stay with the ball, make sure it is good to go, and this might take a couple times to get right. I will say one thing about this shot is I wish I had my shutter speed higher. Something to note when you are shooting this, a little bit higher of a shutter speed. I was at 180 degrees here. Maybe if you were at 90, reduces the motion blur, it makes it easier to track, and also makes the slow motion just a little bit better for a shot like this, especially when there's so much panning in motion. That's the one thing I do regret about this. Once you have your track point set, and it might take you a couple times, like I said, hit apply, okay, and you will see that we have our subject tracked. Boom. So once we have this whole thing tracked, you might wonder what we do about all this junk on the side and this empty space as the ball moves. This is where, whenever you're shooting this, you want to shoot a little wider, add a little bit of space here on the side so you can scale in and maybe shoot in a higher res. It's easier to do this in a higher resolution because you won't lose as much when you do scale in, because that is what we're gonna have to do here to get rid of this. We're gonna have to scale in, mess with the position just a little bit. Now, obviously, if you're working in this master frame and you know you're just gonna put this out as a social video, you don't need to worry about the sides. You just need to worry about what would be in this phone frame or 4x5 frame or whatever you're doing. For this one, we're gonna try and cover up the whole frame just to have a finished product in a wide format. I'm gonna hit S here, and that is going to bring up my scale. And then P, and that is also gonna bring up my position. If you hit U, you can see all your keyframes. Scale and position are gonna be the most important ones here. Since I made a keyframe at the beginning, I'm going to now scale way into about 125. We still have some pretty high res there. I mean, think about it, what we're working with. We're working with 4K. This is tricky. Like I said, you're gonna have to balance this just a little bit. Zoom in maybe a little more, and then you can hit P for your position. Scale it that way. And I think I have my keyframes good to go. So once you get all your keyframes and your scale and position kind of fixed where you want them, hit U, and that brings up all your keyframes, like I said, and select just the position and scale ones, right click and go to Easy Ease. And now this might mess up some of your keyframes, just watch them a little bit. That is basically gonna make them gradual. Boom. Now what we want to do is go back into Premiere Pro and do this second part here, which is going to be a lot easier. There's just much less movement. Hit Stabilize Motion again and repeat the following steps you just did, and it's going to be a lot easier. And now we have our full visual set ready to go in Premiere Pro. As you can see, a nice little motion track, the strikeout, and then Verlander tip in his cap also motion tracked and speed ramped. Simple as that. Now I will say, from a logistics standpoint, shooting this in baseball is a lot harder. It's a lot easier in sports where the ball is bigger, and I think it also looks better in a sport like basketball or volleyball or football, obviously, where it originated. This type of effect looks a lot better because the ball is bigger, it's easier to track, and it just looks cooler in general, in my opinion. Now for the third part of this whole effect in this video is the audio and the sound design. I think this is the most underrated part of it. It really ties the whole edit together. This is an underrated thing, audio is, that people often forget about in their edits, and audio design really spruces it up. So I'm gonna take my Nat audio here, and it is 4 tracks. I'm gonna kind of make it down to 1. I don't have a waveform for some reason. Gonna up this gain just a little bit. This part isn't really important. This is just to kind of get an underlaying sound almost, because I'm gonna fake the rest of the sounds, if that makes sense. I was shooting this from so far away, it's often hard to get a high quality sound, even though I was using a really good Sennheiser mic. You can find like an ambient noise. This is the actual audio from the clip, but you can find just an ambient crowd noise if you want for this part. So whenever this goes slow motion here in our speed ramp, what I'm going to do is go to Effects, type in Low Pass, Filter and EQ, and apply that. And that is basically going to muffle our sound. It's gonna sound like, you know, you're going into a concert and you're standing a room over, you're standing in the bar, and that's what it's gonna sound. It's gonna sound muffled. So we're gonna up this back to the normal. Whenever we bring this cut off up to the top, it's going to be back to normal. So we need to make a keyframe whenever we're in real speed, and whenever we go to slow motion, find a spot, and take it down to like 1500. So if we listen to this back, it's going to be very muffled. I'm gonna cut this here and fade it. I'm also going to up this. You want this to be loud. People's phone speakers are bad. Go back to your audio components. I have a couple swishes here that will kind of elongate that zoom in effect, if that makes sense. I'm going to do this, and now zoom in, and I'm gonna actually slow the clip down by 50 and see how that sounds. So that is gonna give us like a slow, deep whoosh by slowing it down. You're gonna have to mess around with this a little bit. You can just try slowing things down, reducing the gain. You want these effects, all these audio things to be very subtle. I'm going to move that up and increase this fade. That sounds good to me. Now, we want to find kind of a ambient noise, like a deep noise. And what I do is this cave noise. You don't have to do this, but I found it's like kind of this deep, ominous noise, and that's just what's been working for me. I kind of liken it to the Upside Down and kind of like an alternate slowed down universe. There's like a cutscene, slow motion in like Call of Duty. That's kind of what I hear in this. So this is gonna be a very soft noise. I'm gonna up the gain. Like I said, people's phones do not have good speakers and they have dust in them. Fade this in. You almost want that to be a little more subtle, if anything. So I'm gonna drop this to -6. And then I'm going to find my baseball catch. I get all my sounds from Epidemic Sound right now. I love it. I do use Soundstripe a little bit as well, but these are my favorite as of now. I think I like that one the most. I'm going to find where the ball makes impact with the mitt. Whenever the slow motion goes away, make sure you cut that cave noise, fade it out. Go back to your nat sound and find the spot where the crowd gets loud again, or your crowd ambience, cheer, whatever it be, and match that up when the audio kind of, or when the visual kind of gets fast again, if that makes sense. And you can also, if you want, add low pass back to this. So make a keyframe when it is dropped way down, match that up with whenever our speed gets fast again. And then you can drag out for this specific instant. Drag this out and you can go back to your low pass. Whenever we speed ramp the slow motion cap tip, go to 1500. And then you're good to go. Thanks for watching this tutorial, y'all. I hope you were able to gain some value for this one. I know it's hard to recreate this specific shot in certain scenarios. You need, the right angle, you need the right lens, but you can apply these same techniques to an angle similar like I did. I obviously did not have access to a catwalk in the middle of a game. We just don't really have those at our stadiums as much. So, and if you're shooting low-level sports or college, you might not either, and that's okay. You can apply these techniques to other angles, normal angles on field, concourse, whatever it be. But I just wanted to show y'all and explain and clear the air on how all this came together and why this is trending so hot right now online. Anyways, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have any questions or concerns or comments, leave them in the comment section below. And I'll see y'all in the next one.